All right, strap yourselves in for this deep dive, folks.
Yeah, this was a real nail biter.
We're going full Agatha Christie on this one.
Oh, yeah.
A classic whodunit.
Love it.
Our source material throws us right into opening night, the Empire Theater. They're premiering this play, The Final Curtain, a packed house. Everyone's buzzing with anticipation.
Right.
And then Julian Graves, the lead actor, he takes his final bow a little too literally.
Oh.
Dies right there on stage.
Oh, a death during a performance.
Yeah.
That's pretty dramatic, even for the theater world.
Right.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
It might not have been an accident.
Ooh, okay.
Our sources give us some pretty intriguing clues right off the bat.
This is where I got hooked. It's like a suspiciously sharp prop sword.
Huh.
A cup of tea backstage.
Okay.
But it has like a weird smell to it.
Yeah.
And get this. A torn out page from the script.
No way.
With a threatening message on it.
Oh my God.
Tucked right into Julian's pocket.
Someone was setting the stage for murder, literally.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk suspects then.
Okay. Yeah.
Because in our sources, we get a whole cast of characters.
Yes.
Each one deeply connected to Julian, to the play.
Right.
They all have secrets.
Oh, yeah.
And some very strong motives.
Oh, I bet.
It's a tangled web, for sure.
So, first up,
Yeah?
we have Evelyn Drake, the co-star.
Right.
So she and Julian, they have a long history together, sharing the spotlight for years.
Okay.
But lately, there have been these whispers, of like rivalry, jealousy between them.
Sounds like the plot of the play itself, right?
It really does.
Like art imitating life, or in this case, maybe life imitating art.
Ooh.
I mean, it is a classic setup, in the world of mysteries.
Sure.
You get that tension, the desire to be the leading role.
Of course.
It just breeds resentment.
Totally.
Now, Evelyn, of course, says she'd never hurt Julian. But are those her genuine feelings? Or is it just another performance?
Ooh, good point.
Maybe a carefully crafted facade to hide something darker.
Okay, so next up.
Okay, next in the spotlight, we have Victor Hayes, the director. Known for his, shall we say, passionate personality.
A demanding style.
Very demanding.
Yes.
Turns out he had a huge blow-up with Julian.
Really?
On the very day of the murder.
Oh, wow.
All because Julian skipped rehearsal.
No way.
Yeah.
That's a big no-no.
It really is.
Especially opening night.
Exactly.
A volatile artist, huh?
Yeah, makes you wonder, right?
It does.
Was this outburst just a frustrated director?
Yeah.
Or could it be, something more sinister?
Ooh, okay.
Because passion, it can be a powerful motivator.
Yeah.
But it can also be a very dangerous weapon.
Okay, so we have the jealous co-star and the volatile director.
That's right.
Who else is in this lineup?
Okay, so then there's Amanda Rose, the stage manager. Now she's the one with all the keys to the kingdom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially to the prop room.
Right.
Where that suspiciously sharp sword was kept.
Okay.
Now, Amanda, she insists. She checked every single prop meticulously before the curtain went up.
Okay. But if that's true, then how did a real sword even end up on stage?
Exactly. That's the question.
Yeah.
Was it just an oversight, or was it deliberate?
Ooh, good point.
Or was it something even more cunning?
I like that.
Because you see, a true stage manager, they understand misdirection.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
So that's 3 suspects down.
3 down, 1 to go.
Okay, hit me.
Last but certainly not least, we have Daniel Price, the understudy.
Right, the understudy.
Forever waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
Talk about a motive, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Julian's out of the picture.
Right.
The spotlight is all his.
It's his for the taking.
Yeah, it is a fascinating dynamic, isn't it?
Totally.
The ambition, the yearning for recognition, and then the potential for that resentment, just festering in the shadows.
For sure.
Daniel, he might say that he admired Julian.
Yeah.
But was it really admiration?
Okay.
Or was there something darker hidden beneath that?
Wow. Okay, so we've got our suspects.
We do.
Each one with a motive.
Oh, yeah.
That could fuel an entire play on its own, practically.
Absolutely.
But we also have those physical clues.
Right.
So where do we even begin with those?
Well, let's start with that prop sword, shall we?
Okay.
Because in the theater world, safety is paramount.
Of course.
So prop weapons, they're designed to be harmless.
Yeah.
But this one was clearly the real deal.
So what you're saying is someone went to a lot of trouble to swap it out.
Exactly. I mean, it wasn't just lying around backstage.
Yeah.
Someone had to bring it in.
Yeah.
Make the switch, make sure it ended up in Julian's hand.
So that narrows down the suspect list quite a bit, doesn't it?
It really does,
okay.
because think about it.
Yeah.
It has to be someone with backstage access.
Makes sense.
Someone who knows the routines, who can move around unseen.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So let's move on to that cup of tea now.
Okay.
Remember, the sources mentioned a strange smell,
Yes.
hinting at something more than just a simple cuppa.
We're talking poison, right?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Classic.
No, it's a classic.
Yeah.
It suggests premeditation,
Yeah.
a plan to eliminate Julian before the curtain even rose.
But wouldn't that make the sword on stage completely redundant then?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe it was overkill?
Cool.
2 separate attempts on Julian's life?
Possible.
Or maybe it's a diversion tactic.
Ooh.
A red herring
Okay.
designed to confuse the investigation.
Right.
Cast suspicion on more people.
Yeah.
Because after all, the more complicated the plot,
Mm-hmm.
the harder it is to find the truth.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so we've got this really tangled web.
We've got a sharp sword. We've got potentially poison tea.
Yep.
And of course, there's that cryptic note.
Right, the note.
The source material said that the handwriting didn't match Julian's.
That's right.
So who wrote it?
Yeah, and what role did it play in this whole deadly performance?
I mean, it had to have been important, right?
Well, I think that note, scribbled in haste like that,
Yeah.
tucked away in his pocket,
Yeah.
it speaks to a very sudden, very strong emotion.
It does.
It's raw, it's personal,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be the key to unlocking the killer's identity.
I'm dying to know what it said.
Oh, I know, me too.
It has to be a huge clue.
Oh, it's a big one.
If we can crack the message, figure out who wrote it,
Yeah.
maybe we can finally bring down the curtain on this investigation.
And that's where Detective Kane comes in.
Ah.
Our guide
Yeah.
through this maze of clues and suspects.
Right.
Her sharp eye for detail
Yeah.
and her amazing ability to read between the lines, those are going to be crucial in this next act. The interviews.
The interviews.
Detective Kane's interviews with these suspects.
Oh, yeah.
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because, under pressure, people tend to reveal a lot more than they intend.
Right.
A little shift in posture, a hesitation in their voice.
Yeah.
These tiny details, they could be so revealing.
I bet.
Really revealing.
Let's divide with Evelyn Drake then.
Okay, Evelyn Drake.
The sources mentioned that she had admitted to feeling overshadowed by Julian's fame,
Right.
but she completely denied
Yeah.
having anything to do with his death.
Of course.
So is that genuine remorse? Or is that just, another Oscar-worthy performance?
It's the question, isn't it?
It is.
The question that probably kept Detective Kane up at night, trying to figure it out.
Right.
Unfortunately, our sources don't give us a peek into her body language
Right.
during the interview,
Okay.
but we can analyze what we do have. Her words.
Right.
See, a truly innocent person, they tend to be pretty forthcoming, eager to cooperate, clear their name.
Right.
Right.
No matter what.
But if she was acting then, wouldn't there be some cracks in her performance?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like contradictions in her story, maybe a little too much emphasis on her innocence.
Oh, yeah. It's trying to oversell it.
Exactly. Overplaying the part.
Right.
That's a common mistake.
Yeah.
Especially for someone who's used to being in the spotlight.
That's true.
Okay, now let's turn our attention to Victor Hayes.
Okay, yeah, the fiery director.
The fiery director who had that confrontation with Julian earlier that day.
Right.
Now, the sources say
Yeah.
that he got really defensive when they questioned him about that note.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Isn't it?
It is, because if he really thought that note was irrelevant, wouldn't he have just dismissed it? You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So why get so worked up about it?
Right, unless he had something to hide.
Exactly.
Okay.
It suggests that maybe that note,
Yeah.
it means more to him than he's letting on.
Okay.
Perhaps he's afraid it could link him to the crime,
Right.
even if he wasn't the one who wrote it.
Yeah.
Guilt. It often shows itself in the strangest way.
That's true.
He was adamant, though, that his anger toward Julian, it was purely from, artistic differences.
Sure.
Not because he wanted him gone.
But those lines can get blurry.
Oh, they can.
Yeah.
Especially in a high-pressure environment.
Exactly.
Like the theater.
Right.
Where emotions run high.
Sure.
The drive for perfection.
Yeah.
It can so easily tip over into something much darker.
Oh, absolutely.
And speaking of the darker side of the stage,
Oh, yes.
let's not forget about Amanda Rose.
Okay, right. Amanda Rose.
The stage manager.
The stage manager.
Now, she was adamant, absolutely insistent that all the props were carefully inspected.
Right.
And that she wasn't responsible for the switch sword.
But she was the one with the most access.
She was.
The most control.
Yes.
Right.
And that makes her a prime suspect.
Okay.
Unless, of course, someone managed to slip past her and tamper with that sword.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, seems pretty unlikely.
Yeah, she was very meticulous.
Very meticulous, exactly.
Right.
But she did say that she checked every single prop.
She did.
So wouldn't something like a real sword stand out?
You would think, right?
You'd think so, right?
I mean, it's not something you just overlook, especially with opening night, looming.
I know, it's a real puzzle, isn't it?
It is.
Was it a genuine mistake?
Okay.
A slip-up in her usually perfect process?
Yeah.
Or did she do it on purpose? Did she create a blind spot?
Okay.
A way to, manipulate the scene without raising any suspicion?
Right.
Now, I'm sure Detective Kane would have looked very closely at her alibi for any inconsistencies.
Of course.
Any little gaps that could point to, a more deliberate act.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right, now let's move on to Daniel Price.
Okay.
The understudy.
Right.
The one waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
Now, our sources tell us that he was seen lurking near Julian's dressing room.
Oh.
Just minutes before the performance.
Okay.
And he couldn't explain why.
That's not good.
No, it puts him in the wrong place at the wrong time.
For sure.
To say the very least.
Right.
And of course, with Julian gone, Daniel steps right into the spotlight.
It's his big break.
It is.
Yeah.
He finally gets the recognition that he's been craving.
Right.
So we have opportunity and we have motive.
Okay.
Two very important pieces of this puzzle.
Yeah, they're lining up.
They are. They really are.
Yeah. He insisted, though, that he, genuinely admired Julian.
He did.
But could that admiration have been mixed with,
with envy?
Oh, absolutely.
Like the desire to step out from those shadows and finally claim that leading role for himself?
I mean, it's a complex emotion, isn't it?
It is.
Envy.
Yeah.
And it can easily turn into something much darker.
Right, especially under pressure.
Especially under pressure.
Like opening night.
Exactly. And it's interesting you say pressure.
Yeah.
Because all of our suspects, they were under immense pressure that night.
They were?
Opening night jitters, the audience watching their every move.
Of course.
Just the whole intricate dance of backstage life.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's like a cauldron of emotions, And as we know, heat.
Yeah.
It can transform even the most harmless things.
Oh, yeah.
Into something very dangerous.
Absolutely.
Very dangerous.
Okay, so we've got our 4 suspects.
We do. They've all got secrets, they've all got inconsistencies, and they've got motives that would make Shakespeare proud.
Absolutely.
But it was Detective Kane.
Yeah.
Who managed to untangle this whole web.
She did.
And expose the killer.
So what was it?
What led her to that final dramatic revelation?
I need to know.
Well, the sources, they challenge us to put on our detective hats.
I like it.
To look at the clues ourselves.
Okay.
To think about who had the means, the motive, and the opportunity to actually pull this off.
Okay.
And when you look at all the evidence, all signs point to Amanda Rose.
Amanda.
The stage manager.
The stage manager.
The seemingly unassuming stage manager.
Wow. I have to admit, I was convinced it was Daniel.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But how did Amanda manage to fool everybody?
Oh.
What made her do it?
The answer, like it so often is in these stories, is revenge.
Revenge, okay.
Yeah, because it turns out...
Amanda had been secretly fired by Julian.
What?
Replaced without any warning.
No way.
Yeah, talk about a motive, humiliation, anger, betrayal.
Right.
All of that fueled her desire to strike back.
Wow.
So all that meticulous work in the prop room, her insistence on checking everything personally, it was all an act.
Wow.
She used her knowledge of the theater, her position of authority, to manipulate everything and ensure Julian's demise.
So she tampered with the sword.
Yes.
Knowing he would use it in the final act.
Exactly.
Making it look like an accident.
A tragic accident right there on stage.
Right in front of everyone.
In front of everyone.
Wow. But what about the tea?
The tea.
It seems so risky, Oh. Like an unnecessary detail.
Yeah, that could ruin her whole plan.
Exactly.
Well, that's where her genius comes in, you see.
Okay.
The poison tea.
Yeah.
It was a red herring.
A red herring.
A deliberate distraction designed to throw the investigation off course.
I see.
Make them look somewhere else.
So it wasn't meant to actually kill him.
No.
It was just to create confusion.
Yes, to make the investigators focus on the wrong thing.
While the real weapon was hidden right there in plain sight.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
It is, isn't it?
It's devious, but brilliant.
It is.
Okay, so what about that note then?
The note.
The one in Julian's pocket.
Yeah, well, the handwriting analysis.
Yeah.
It confirmed that it was Amanda's writing.
Really?
Seems she wrote it in a moment of, intense anger.
Okay.
Just venting her feelings toward Julian.
Right.
And she probably never intended for it to be found.
Okay.
But ironically, it became a crucial piece of evidence.
It did.
A crack in her carefully constructed facade.
It's amazing how a tiny detail like that
I know.
can unravel a whole plan. Slip of the pen.
It really speaks to the power of observation. The importance of those little details.
Yeah.
That could lead to the biggest revelations.
It's true, those little things.
Yeah.
And that's what makes Detective Kane so good at her job.
Exactly.
She understood that.
Yeah.
In a world of smoke and mirrors,
illusions.
Yeah. Carefully crafted performances, the truth is often hidden in the smallest details.
The tiniest, most easily overlooked details.
Right.
That's where the truth lies.
Talk about the show must go wrong.
It really is, isn't it?
Amanda, the puppet master.
Oh, yeah.
Pulling all the strings from behind the scenes.
In the shadows.
She really thought she'd gotten away with it.
I know.
Orchestrated the perfect crime.
She did.
But, she underestimated Detective Kane.
She did. She underestimated the power of a keen observer.
Right. Someone who knows that.
Exactly.
Sometimes the most interesting dramas happen off stage.
They do. They happen in the shadows.
In the shadows, yeah.
It just reminds us.
It does.
That the truth, it has a way of coming out.
It always does.
No matter how hard you try to hide it.
Even amidst the most, elaborate deceptions.
The most elaborate deceptions.
Right.
But Detective Kane, with her sharp eye, she was able to peel back those layers, The
layers of illusion.
The layers of illusion.
Yeah.
Expose the truth.
And the raw emotions behind everything.
Oh, right.
Driving Amanda's actions.
Absolutely.
Our sources don't really get into what happened after Amanda was arrested.
Right.
But I keep thinking about the others.
The rest of the cast and crew.
The cast and crew, yeah.
Yeah.
The show must go on, as they say.
It must.
But how do you even begin to recover from something like that?
That's a good question.
To find out that the person you trusted...
Right, the person who was holding everything together...
Literally holding the production together was capable of something so dark.
It's chilling, isn't it?
It really is.
To think that someone you work with...
share that creative energy with.
Yeah, that you share space with.
Could have that much darkness inside them.
Yeah.
It's like that duality of human nature, right?
It really is.
The good and the bad.
The potential for both brilliance and malice.
Existing at the same time.
In the same person.
In the same person, yeah.
And in the theater world especially.
Right.
Where emotions are already so heightened.
Absolutely.
And the lines between reality and fiction get blurred.
Right.
Maybe,
Yeah.
Maybe those darker impulses, they get amplified.
Given a stage, right?
Yeah, they're given a stage to play out.
To play out in the most tragic way.
In the most tragic of ways.
It really makes you think about
why
we're so drawn to these stories,
To stories of mystery and murder.
Murder, yeah.
Yeah, why are we so fascinated by them?
Is it the thrill of the chase?
Man.
Like putting the pieces of the puzzle together.
The intellectual challenge of it all.
Yeah.
Could be.
Or is it something deeper?
I think it's the human need for order.
Okay.
The need for justice to prevail.
Especially in the face of chaos.
Especially when things feel chaotic. Murder mysteries.
Yeah.
They offer us a sense of closure.
Okay.
Like a reassurance.
Yeah.
That even the most complex deceptions.
Yeah.
They'll eventually be exposed.
Maybe unraveled.
Unraveled, exactly.
Right.
And the truth. However unsettling it might be.
Yeah.
It will come out.
It always does.
It always does.
And maybe it's also about confronting our own darkness,
Oh, interesting.
Like those impulses that we all have, exploring them.
Yeah.
But safely.
Safely, right?
through these stories.
Without having to actually experience them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a way to understand why people do the things they do.
Exactly, to analyze those choices that lead someone down a dark path.
To make those bad decisions.
To betray, to deceive.
To take a life.
To ultimately take a life.
And maybe, by understanding that, we can all learn to navigate
our own lives.
Our own lives a little better.
A little better.
Right. Recognizing the signs.
The warning signs.
Just a little red flag.
The subtle shifts.
Yeah.
That could mean trouble.
That could mean trouble, yeah.
Yeah, lurking beneath the surface.
So that brings us to the final curtain.
It does.
On the theater tragedy.
On the theater tragedy.
We've explored all those clues.
Every single one.
Dissected all the alibis.
Analyzed every word.
And followed Detective Kane's brilliant deductions.
To unmask the killer.
To unmask the killer, Amanda Rose.
Amanda Rose.
But this case really sticks with you.
It does.
Doesn't it? It really does.
It's a reminder that looks can be deceiving.
Oh, absolutely.
And even in the most glamorous settings.
Yeah.
Like the theater world.
The theater world.
Darkness can still creep in. Darkness can take center stage.
And as we step away from this world.
Wow.
This world of illusion.
Of make-believe.
Of intrigue.
Yeah.
We're left with this one final question.
Ooh, I like it.
What other secrets are hiding just out of sight?
Ooh, I like that.
In our everyday lives.
In our everyday lives, yeah.
Just waiting for a keen observer.
Yes.
To bring them into the light.
To bring them into the spotlight.
So maybe the real mystery here.
The real mystery.
Is our own ability to see.
To observe.
To truly observe.
Yeah, and our willingness to look beyond the surface.
Further deeper.
To find the truth.
No matter how unsettling.
No matter how unsettling.
It might be.
That's the real challenge.
A huge thank you to everyone.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
For joining us on this deep dive.
Into the theater tragedy.
We hope you enjoyed playing detective along with us.
We did.
And maybe you even learned a thing or two.
Yeah, you never know.
About the art of observation.
It's a good skill to have.
And the complexities of the human heart.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
See you on the next deep dive.